Welcome to another episode of Tea Time at Physics. Today we're joined by Derek and Oz. And Oz, how do you pronounce your whole name again?
So my full name is Asmahan, but everyone just calls me Az or Oz, and that's usually what I go by.
Love it. So Derek and Oz is the new owner of Grey's Anatomy, but now it's a new name, is DNA Sports Performance. So
Yep.
we got to talking the other time, and you guys were doing some pretty cool stuff. So I know there's a lot of like berries out there, just a lot of like CrossFit out there doing group exercise classes, but you guys are doing something more different. You guys are doing something that's a lot more functional. That's what translate closer to like real life performance. So let's start off with the name. Like, tell me about the name. How you guys come up with DNA Sports Performance?
Yeah, so the DNA is it first and foremost our initials, so Derek and Az. But one of the things we really value is science-backed training. So everything that we do, we have to have a reason for doing it, and it has to be something we can explain to everybody and make sense. So we wanted our name to convey that we do everything based on a reason and backed by science there. So we kept DNA in it, and then we went with DNA Sports Performance. Like you said, formerly Grey's Anatomy Academy. We wanted it to be clear what we do. So we wanted to be clear that we're here to train people athletically. That being said, we're not just for athletes on varsity programs or anything like that. We just believe most people should train like an athlete for movement and for function.
Okay. And are you an athlete?
I used to be, so I used to play soccer.
Okay.
I consider myself more athletic now than I was. Yeah, I don't know. I really I fell in love with kind of sports performance style training, and I really have fun doing that, trying to get back into soccer. Um, yeah, she's more of an athlete than I am right now.
Well, let's hear it from the real athlete. What's so? What sports do you play?
It's not that I even really play any sports. Right now, I'm training for a half marathon. I used to do cross country a lot when I was in school, like middle school, high school. So I'm trying to continue with that, but I've found that running is a lot of mobility, it's a lot of even just like recovery, all that kind of stuff. So I think that like what we preach and what we practice really ties in really well to it because it's all it is basically. So
Okay, I love it. So we had a conversation before about what is readily out there, like the Orange Theories, the berries, the CrossFit. Now all those have their own pros. Of course, they have some cons, and you guys built DNA Sports Performance to really tackle the missing link that's missing in all those different classes. So tell me what you like about those classes, what you don't like, and how does DNA sort of fills the gap?
I think so, and we're never going to be here to knock anybody moving their body because the biggest thing is like, yes, you're moving your body, that's great, and we don't want to knock people that do that, regardless of what they
Absolutely.
do. Yeah. So it's more just a lot of it, like Orange Theory, like F45, like those types of places. It's very high intensity, a lot of cardio. Yes, you're getting some resistance training, but it's under a lot of volume, not a lot of load, and I think for us, the missing link is we're really trying to integrate more of mobility, functional things that aren't necessarily going to raise your heart rate like a ton, like right off the bat, but that are going to help you in everyday life. So it's great if you can sprint and you can do all these crazy burpees and all this stuff, but if you can't walk up and down the stairs without pain, then like, what are we really doing this for? You know what I mean? So I think bridging that gap with like, yes, it's okay to do those things sometimes, but filling the gaps of what should you be doing in between so you can do everything else.
Right. So it sounds like it's a bit more accessible to everybody versus if you're not. Look, I've done like one of those classes and I got smoked, and I'm not in bad shape, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
they're hard.
I can't imagine someone in like the 40s to 50s, and they're not as good of a shape, and they have some kind of like nagging injuries or aches, and they go into those classes. Well, that's when we start to see things go south, right?
Yes.
So it sounds like you guys are able to kind of help those individuals and give them a training benefit without really hurting them,
Yes,
right?
exactly. And I can let you speak on it.
I was gonna say, I think also one of the big things that kind of we've tackled is, I mean, we're kind of forced into it. We don't have a big space, but it works to our benefit. One of the things, actually, I think we both temporarily worked at 45s in the past. one of the issues we found was there's way too many people for the amount of coaches that were there. So it was, okay, yes, we were delivering a program. They were throughout a day doing maybe a push, a pull, a knee, a hip, and some cardio, which is laid out on paper. It's all great. But the level of coaching that we could deliver was not the greatest. And it was probably about half the people I couldn't see, I couldn't help. I could chat with them, get a laugh, but we're not really correcting anything. So if anything, we're just kind of encouraging them to continue a dysfunction. So we're building strength into a dysfunction because we haven't taught them how to do it correctly. So at DNA, we have a cap size of 10 people in our classes.
Oh wow, that's a lot smaller than what you normally see. Because I remember going to a Orange Theory class and I was like, "This got to be like 50 people in here." Like,
Yeah.
this is a graduating class, right here.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. So no, our group classes are limited to 10 people in the gym.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, like I said, the space kind of forced it in our amount of equipment, but it worked out for the better. Anymore, and we're not comfortable leading a class that big without another coach. Because we can't make sure that everyone's doing things correctly and safely and getting benefit out of the session.
No, I love that. That's the beauty about small group classes is that you are able to give that level of attention that you normally don't give in these big classes. So let's talk about like how long are these classes for these folks and what's the structure? Do you guys start off with like a warm up and then into the workout? And is it fully custom or is every class the same?
So we structure like just the days in general. We have 2 or technically 4 like boot camp days, or no, 3 now because we got rid of our Sunday, right? Yeah. So we have Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday are our boot campy days, which is more getting your heart rate up. There's still some resistance training in there, but it's more just about like getting your body moving. Yes, exactly. Practicing technique, all that stuff. And then our Monday, Wednesday, Friday those are our big lift days. So that's like our traditional type of strength training that we do. The way that we structure them is we always start with foam rolling. We've done a lot of research on it that it's just so helpful to do before you do really anything, to be completely honest.
I agree.
But yeah, so foam rolling has been really big part of our newer programming. And then we do stretching. We've also done some research on that. Just stretching is so great to do beforehand because we know that, yes, can it inhibit some like muscle growth in some areas? Sure, but we don't know if everyone's actually going to do it. And if we're in an industry of preventing injury, then stretching is something that's super important. So we do that at the beginning to make sure that everybody does it. And then we go into our mobility, motor control, activation. So mobility can be anything. Like if we're doing like knee dominant movements or hip dominant movements, we'll do some hip mobility. We'll kind of tailor it to what we're doing at that day. And then motor control, practicing patterns that in ranges of motion that we're gonna move through in our lifts. So if we're doing single leg deadlifts, then we'll do like an and-core single leg deadlift or a band resisted one to start with to kind of get your body moving in that pattern. And then we have our power and plyo section. Also a little bit of our correctives. So sometimes we'll throw some corrective exercises in there that we'll see in our adults that widely, like everybody has shown that they need these. So we'll throw something like that in there. And then we do agility ladder, we do plyos, power stuff, so wall ball drills, or we'll do push presses, stuff like that. And then we go to our strength and our accessory. So we have our main lift. We try to round out our workouts, so we always get a hip dominant, a knee dominant movement, like Derek was saying, and we get core exercises, and it's not just random core. We want lateral core, anti-extension, anti-rotation. We try to fit as much as we can in the time that we have.
Right. It seems like you guys are really deliberate about the programming
Yes,
of these classes.
extremely. Yeah.
And I love that because you guys are a small team, you guys can make corrections really quickly.
Yes.
Like for a F45 to make a correction, they're going to have to go through like 8, maybe, I don't know, how many people, right, to really make one small correction into the program. And you guys can just adjust on the fly. So I think that's where the main benefit is. And I love that you guys are talking about the core exercises because I think for whatever reason, somewhere along in the last like 10 years, people have gone away from doing direct core work 'Cause they say stuff like, "Hey, you're gonna get it when you squat." Yes, if your core is activated, it will turn on when you squat, but it might not turn on. And for a lot of people, they don't feel the core during the main lifts. So that's a problem. So having that direct core work, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
And having you guys do it from different angles, huge fan of that. Because people
Yeah.
think the core is just like forward and back. No, there's like so many different angles the core has to move in. And most people are really stiff. So getting those angles in, I mean, hugely functional for
Yeah.
all the people.
Right, exactly. And just last thing, especially on like the core exercises. And again, like not to knock like people that do certain exercises for their health, but yeah, if you're just doing sit-ups all the time, if you're just doing like very specific things, how do you know how well your body does in like different planes of motion? And that's, I feel like, again, that missing link that we're trying to kind of integrate in our programming.
Yeah. I think one of the other big things is our program is very individualized. Even though it's a group class, we have regressions built into every single program we do on every single day. So if someone shows up, and so we run, like Az was talking about, our Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of traditional strength training programs. We run them on 4 phases. So they're building through muscle endurance and repetitive motion to kind of lower reps, heavier weight and strength, then into some power sections and eccentric work. But if someone were to join at any time and we're in, like, say, phase 4 of a 4-phase program, we might not have them start there. But we have the set regression in of stuff that anyone can do at any point that they join. So it's all inviting and it's super adjustable to where you're at. So from beginner to advanced, we can always make it specific to our clients.
Yeah. And how old are usually people in these classes?
We have a really big age range, actually. So I think our closest in age is, so youngest is going to be around 25 to 27. And we have some people nearing 70, 75, all in the same class.
Wow. So you have the 75-year-olds right next to a guy who's 25 in the same
Yeah.
workout class, but maybe doing a slightly different moderation of the exercise.
Exactly.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
feel like, it's nice to just, be the older adult, like maybe in your 50s, 60s, and you're like keeping up with the next guy who's in
Yeah.
in the 20s, right?
Yeah, no,
That's
exactly.
always cool to see.
We have loads of people. Probably right in the middle is our biggest age range, anywhere from like 30 to 50, and it's really cool to see because we have a lot of people in that age range outlifting people younger than them, and it's been very cool to have kind of the results come in from the work they've put over the past year, and be inspirations to new clients that we have joining. And so the program ends up speaking for itself, but it's showing our clients what they're actually capable of, which is some stuff they never thought they could do.
I love that. Just proving people that, hey, look, you have a much higher ceiling than you thought about for yourself. So I want to ask, like, how do you guys meet? Are you guys have always been working together and decided to go into business together? Like, how does all occur?
You know? Yeah.
Good question. So I started at Grey's Anatomy, formerly what we were, probably like a little over a year now. Yeah.
In May.
In May. Yep, May 2024. And he was already there, so he had already been working there. I had just come from, CrossFit background, F45, all that stuff, and I was trying to find like my niche, like what I really wanted to do. But yeah, so I came to Grey's and we just hit it off immediately. And we actually started dating first, and then we realized like how like similar we were, especially like the things that we wanted out of personal training, athletic performance, and that was like the path that we were going to go down. And when we got this opportunity, it was kind of like no brainer. The owners weren't in a space to continue with the business anymore. And we thought, hey, we've already built all of this rapport with all these clients already. It's been a year of us working on these programs, just us and our coworker at the time also, who had a really big part in it. And we thought, there's no reason why we shouldn't do this. I mean, we built this ourselves. We've been doing everything ourselves already. It's just been us. So we thought, okay, let's do it. Like, let's just start it. And worst thing that could happen is we fail and we try again. But yeah. it's just been a year in the making.
Yeah. So we've been essentially, like as was saying, we've been running programs, contacting clients, handling issues with software for the past year. And the owners, like she said, were in a space and pretty much offered us to take it from them and kind of keep rolling with whatever we are already doing. And it's been really fun. We're in technically week 3, but we were away last week, so this is week 2 of our business, and having a good time so far.
I love it. Shout out to Zach and Sean.
Yeah, definitely.
I love those guys. We used to work together all at Equinox a long time ago, and then we all started our own thing. And I think they're in good hands with you guys for
Yeah.
sure. Well, tell me about the working together. Well, you guys are a couple, but you guys also own a business together. You guys find that ever leak from the professional side to the personal side?
In all honesty, our thing is that we end up talking too much about work in our personal life.
Right. What do you think about? What do you think about that?
That's been the only thing. Yeah. So that's been really the big issue. We were before anything just ended up being best friends, and we always have the utmost respect for each other, and we've never had anything from personal life roll into our professional life, other than the fact that we love talking about our personal lives with our clients and they love hearing about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, really the only thing is I'm especially prone to it, but I end up talking about work a little too much that I have to be like, okay, hold on, back up. It's a good idea, but let's wait till Monday.
Yeah.
You know?
But at the same time, it's like, what do you do today? Oh,
Yeah, well, that's I saw you 9 hours today.
how's your day?
No,
you know how my day went.
Yeah,
You were
exactly.
right next to me.
It ends up being really great because, like I said, she's my best friend, so I get to spend 9 hours working with my best friend, and then we also live together, so I get to go home and live with my best friend.
I think also just we obviously, like you said, have the utmost respect for each other, not only in our personal lives but professionally. So I think coming from even working in spaces where like you're working with people that are very different from you, or you don't maybe have like-minded ideas, I think it's kind of like a weight off of our shoulders to just work with each other, because yes, like we push each other to do better and all of that good stuff, but we're best friends. We respect each other. We think very similarly about certain things, so it's very cohesive, and we haven't had any issues yet. So
Okay. All right. All right. I'm sure at some point there will be something, but I'm sure you guys will go ahead and resolve that. All right. Tell me about the future. Like, where do you guys see DNA going that's different from where Grey's Anatomy was going?
Yeah, I think probably the best thing about where we're planning to head is that we have the same vision for it.
Love it. Let's hear it.
So we are intentional in keeping our group classes going. We want to grow those more than anything. We want to keep our one-on-one training going, and we want to help people in the best way that we can. We're going to be where we're at for a little while, which is right behind the Staples in Needham.
Like 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
Right?
Really close. So we're going to be there for a little while, and we're trying to just kind of grow out, build our client base there. And ideally, we can break into a bigger space where we can explore more options. So we want to break into, like I said, just more space, giving us more options to do more exercises, more sprint and running training, speed training, change of direction, and just a space that allows us to run our classes smoother. So pretty much grow what we are at a scalable rate, and then just move into a bigger space, staying in this area to help the people that we know.
Love it. And why is it important for people to do sprints and change of directions and stuff like that? Because so many of us, as we get older, we don't do any of those stuff anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. We put so much emphasis on power training to start with because it's one of the first things that we'll lose.
For those who don't understand, let's define what power training is.
Okay. Yeah. So to simply how we convey it to our clients, it's combining strength with speed. So one of the best ways that we do that is through jumping. So move your body weight really fast and push so forcefully that you leave the floor. Like I said, so that is one of the first things that we lose. I mean, there's all kinds of variations we can do for the upper body, really fast pushing with weight. You can jump sideways, jump off one leg, just land on two legs, land on one leg, all kinds of things like that. On top of that, the ability for our adults to learn movement patterns, which is one of the reasons that we do the agility ladder, is to challenge their minds to learn different movements. So as they age, they can prevent degenerative issues like dementia for longer than you would without it. But yeah, I mean, we really value sprint training and speed training a lot with our athletes, more so than our adults. For some of our adults, it might be a little too high impact. At that level of intensity, we might be risking something in a group class that we wouldn't want to do. In a one-on-one setting, it might be a little different. But with our athletes, it really, on top of, we say speed is king. In a field sport, we take the fast athlete over the one that can run long distance almost 9 times out of 10. We can train endurance, in my opinion, a lot easier than we can train speed. So we want to be able to take what we do in the weight room and actually translate it onto the field so that then when they go to practice, they can translate, okay, weight and strength from the gym to the field in sprinting to then adding a skill on top of it, like when they go and play lacrosse or soccer.
Right. Like you're not training just to train.
Right.
You're training
We're
because
training
you
for a
want to
purpose.
see a performance increase when they're back into the sports.
Right.
And I love that the fact that you're even coaching even the adults to learn how to jump because we lose that skill. And
Really fast.
the ability to absorb force quickly and produce force quickly, that's the one thing that you lose as you get older. And it doesn't have to be that way if you continue doing it. And it's really good for the tendons. I'm coming from a PT standpoint, right? So I'm always thinking about like injuries and things like that. If we can get the older adults moving in different directions, moving in different ways with the body, doing all these different shapes, like they're just gonna feel much better. They're gonna feel less stiff. Because think about it, as we get older, we're sitting at our job or at an office, we expose ourselves to this posture, this posture, this posture, this posture. And it's like maybe you can count like 6 different shapes that your body makes. So when you go to the gym, you want to like expand those shapes as much as possible and be able to do things that you normally don't do in everyday life. So then you can live longer and live better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's key.
That's what we're all about, and kind of maintaining any sort of function we can. And a lot in jumping for us is it's more reflective of someone's ability to do something else. So like running and sprinting, we know is a lot of high vertical forces, but we take some of the adults who do like recreational sports like soccer, for example. If 5 months ago they started and they're like, I'm not sure I'll ever get back to playing soccer or skiing or anything like that, and we get them jumping, we get them moving laterally, we get them rotating, then all of a sudden something's back in the realm of possibilities for them that they thought was gone, or something they never had before is now something they can do. And so the whole point of what we do is we don't train people to necessarily get really good at the gym. That just happens by coming to the gym and working with us. But we're training them so that when they leave the gym, they can do more, experience more, see more, and just live a better life outside of what we do.
Yeah, train them to be better at life,
Exactly.
essentially. I love that. Well, I love the mission you guys are on. And Oz, a question for you specifically, actually. So you say you were in the CrossFit space.
Yes.
Okay. Are you still doing some CrossFit yourself, or have you gone away from like the Olympic lifts?
I do still think Olympic lifts and CrossFit are 2 very different things to me.
Okay. Yeah. Let's hear it.
Yes, and I think there will always be a place for Olympic lifts for me. I think they're super important, especially for athletes, especially for like power development. As far as CrossFit, I think CrossFit is its own breed. It's its own type of community more than it even is about the exercises sometimes. And I think the culture that surrounds it can sometimes be very not applicable to everybody. To somebody like maybe like me or Derek, who we're probably not as prone to injury as most people. We do a lot of like strength training, mobility, things that we should do to keep our bodies moving like healthy. We're doing like the right things, but so yes, I mean, that's something that we could do and probably not have as great a risk of injury. If you take somebody that's like in their 50s, 60s, and you throw them into a room of people that are really like gung-ho, like go up in weight, really just like heavy implementing high intensity all the time, that might not work for somebody like that, and they're probably going to be, no, not probably, they're definitely going to be way more prone to injury.
They will get hurt.
They will get hurt. They will get hurt. So it's not even about an if, it's more about a when. And I think that's more the culture that I kind of wanted to step away from, because I think that was like the only mindset that was available, and that was it. And anything outside of that, not correct, doesn't make sense. Like, so.
So I want to touch on the community aspects of CrossFit. Of course, really strong community. We worked at a CrossFit event. It was phenomenal. We see some of the best athletes in the world. They're just doing the snatches for like 5 minutes straight or something like that. It was crazy. And I was watching them and I was looking at the way they're breathing. I was like, and they're breathing consistently the same.
Yeah.
These are like top level athletes.
Yeah.
On a tangent, every time I think about it, I get enamored by them. But that's the community part of it. So I know they have a great community. Everyone who does it really is all about it. Now, have you taken any of the way that they built that community into DNA and try to build that community yourself? How are you guys doing that?
For sure. And I think that is one thing I really will give CrossFit. They have a great sense of community and they do it very well. And I think a lot of it was at the gym I was at before. It was a CrossFit gym and they were very personal, very like, we want to recognize everyone's birthdays. We want to make sure we know everybody's names. We want to make sure that we know like facts about everybody and we know about their life. Lots of community events to kind of like bring people together. And I mean, they had these events all the time. Like it wasn't like a once a year type of thing. Oh, let's recognize our clients. It was, oh, we're going to have lifting competitions. We're going to have like potlucks and like Thanksgiving dinners with our clients, that type of stuff. And I think that's more what I wanted to bring from CrossFit is that camaraderie and like that community based, like, it's not, yes, we are here to work out. Yes, we are your trainers. But at the end of the day, we're also all still people and we all have lives outside of this. And why would I not want for you to enjoy being here if you're going to be here so often, you know?
I love that. When's the next event? I want to be invited.
We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, well,
You're definitely
text me.
invited.
Yeah.
You're
text
definitely
me.
invited.
I want to be invited to the next cookout for sure.
Absolutely.
yeah.
You'll be
Yeah.
there. No worries.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys. You guys are going to be building something amazing. I just know it. I can tell by just their energy from the day that we first met. I just knew we had to get you on a podcast and just let everyone else know about what you guys are doing. And that's my closing thoughts right here. Sean and Zach, you guys picked two amazing people to take over the shop, and they will make it better than when they started it. So, huge compliment to you guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
It was a
thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you. It was awesome being here.
Yeah.
All right, and that is all, folks. Until next time.